Welcome, my name is Paige Kimball. As we begin today, we ask you to please turn off your electronic devices, and I invite you to enjoy the chapel at the back of the sanctuary and write notes of joy and concerns in the book there. If you have little ones, we have a nursery downstairs, and after our service, I invite you all downstairs to enjoy hospitality and to greet one another. Finally, please note the announcement in your order of services, which offers us many ways to be engaged in this vibrant community.
Morning, everybody. I'm Cody. I am a member of the board here. Come, whoever you are. You are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. No matter whom you love, how you speak, or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. You are welcome here whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears. You are welcome here. If you come here with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands, you are welcome here. Thank you.
Good morning. As we gather here together and among us are princesses and pirates, and I think a lion. Is that a lion, Leo? Oh, Pokemon. Oh, so sorry. Big difference. I am still in the afterglow of the Parliament of World Religions. The days we just spent in this city with so many different beliefs and cultures, it felt like heaven. And it filled me with hope in world peace, with hope that the small and large things we do, the way that we reach out our hands, can make a difference. I wish that all of you had been there, and those of us who were there want to share that experience with you. And we will gather after the service next week and talk about that and share and answer questions. I hope that many of you will come. We are blessed today. It is late October, and Maya Angelou wrote about it. She said, "Carefully the leaves of autumn sprinkle down the tinny sound of little dyings, and skies sated of ruddy sunsets, of roseate dawns, roil ceaselessly in cobweb grays, and turn to black for comfort. Only lovers see the fall, a signal end to endings, a gruffish gesture alerting those who will not be alarmed that we begin to stop in order simply to begin again." In that spirit of dying and birthing, of ending and beginning again, that spirit of the cycle of life, let us feel the slant of autumn light, the turning of the earth, and the presence of each other, gathered here in this place for this time together. I invite you to stand in body or spirit and let us sing together, "Gather the Spirit," hymn number 347.
While you're finding your place in your
join me in saying our child's lighting words. We
Like this chalice, for the Lord of love, for the light of truth, and for the energy of action.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Children and young adult and young youth and young adults to come up, and young at heart to come up. That should be everybody. Today, as you may know, because I sent out a special announcement on the listserv, and because you can look at your program and see what the title is for today, that we are asking a question today, along with enjoying being princesses and pirates. We're asking the question, oh, that's so deep. Oh boy. We are asking the question, what is the goal of Unitarian Universalism? And you can thank Phil Quigley, who is in the third row, because he gave me that question. And that is what we're going to do. Can somebody time this? We have about 4 more minutes. But in those 4 minutes, I want you to tell the goal of Unitarian Universalism. Does anyone want to say anything? We can be quiet for 4 minutes. I love silence. I have thinking, okay.
Well, I haven't been coming here very long, but I think the goal is radical acceptance of people.
Lovely. Did you hear that? Radical acceptance of people. Thank you, Paige. Thank you. Okay, I have to make a way. Okay, any of you think of something? Oh, you guys. I'm always telling how great you are.
Striving to be better people and make a better world.
Did you hear that? Striving to be better people and making a better world. Thank you. Thank you, Rachel.
Creating a place of support and encouragement for finding your own path.
Hey, thank you. Wow, these are great. I'm still waiting.
For giving peace in our world.
Oh, wow. Wow, thank you, Leo. Thank you for peace in the world, for giving peace. Okay, thank you.
For accepting everyone.
Great, thank you. Accepting everyone. Anyone else?
Helping everyone.
Thank you. Helping everyone. These are pretty big, you guys. Okay, this is great. Anyone else?
Loving and accepting.
Okay, loving and accepting. Okay.
Taking care of the environment. Taking care of the environment.
Okay, taking care of the environment. Thank you.
Seeking and embracing truth.
Seeking and embracing truth. Thank you, Sandra. Okay, that's 4 minutes. I promised. Thank you. You guys were great. Okay, now we're going to sing that fun song as you go downstairs. And we're looking forward to that parade soon. Okay, thank you.
Spirit of walks around you every
we listen to those last happy sounds, let us listen to this bell, to the singing bowl, and find your center. Let us breathe in together and breathe out. Let us extend our hearts and minds downward, knowing that the earth that sustains us is just beneath us. And if we travel farther and farther, we would find the beautiful history of this earth, the layers and layers, the upheavals, the movement until we arrive at that fiery core. And then let us extend ourselves upward through the brilliance of this autumn morning, up into the clouds, through the heavens to that place of stars. And looking back, we would see this beautiful earth. Each week we gather, we bring with us joys and sorrows. This morning in particular, I am filled with the images of the refugees. And Rosine Oliver is now by her mother's side. And I haven't heard yet, but she knows that her mother is in her last hours and days. We also extend our hearts to Isaac Doyle, young baby who is doing well but still needs our prayers of the Doyle family. We continue to mourn Sina Zane and offer comfort to her husband and family. I invite you, after I ring the bell, to bring to the sanctuary, either spoken or unspoken, the people that are on your heart in joy or sorrow. Sometimes it's both. It is good to be silent. Let us bring that silence and the light and love of our community into our lives, into our everyday. I invite you now to stay seated and sing. Let us sing together hymn number 123, Spirit of Life.
Completely forgot to invite you to say the offering words with me. So now you get to do a responsive reading with me. Therefore, your voices can be heard. It's
In the middle of writing this sermon, I went to the library, the Salt Lake Public Library, and I Googled Refugee Crisis 2015. I felt that if I was going to talk about the goal of Unitarian Universalism, I had to speak to this moment we are living on this earth. And these are the photographs of this time. The photographs of the refugees stopped me in my tracks. And I sat there in the library and tears ran down my face. The photograph that I had heard about of the child washed up on the beach, and all the people standing on the other side of barbed wire fences, overlaid my thoughts and study of Emerson, that innovative Unitarian thinker who had lived so comfortably in Massachusetts. I remembered how Emerson had gone to see John Muir in California. Muir was one of those marvelous humans who lives on the edge. He climbed up mountains right as winter began and relished being buried in storms. And when Emerson, the great philosopher who extolled nature in essay and poetry, visited him, Muir naturally asked him to go up to the mountains with him, experience nature, be out in it. And guess what? Emerson refused. Can you imagine refusing Muir's offer? Emerson wanted to think about nature, not really experience it, or at least experience it in the way that his friend experienced it. Sometimes do you feel, as I do, that you are watching the world go by in all its complexity and suffering, rather than diving in? Do you feel that? When I looked at those photographs, I saw family, my chosen family. I will try to explain. I've had that happen to me. I've had it happen to me. Really, I did once in a theater performance. Oh. I can still remember it. This experience I'm going to tell you about also happened in a theater. I was up on the stage. It was 5 years after I had left the church of my ancestors, and I was performing a play that I had written. And I looked out, and what I saw was not the people who were there, really, who were from all kinds of places in the world. Somehow in my mind, those theater goers who I should have felt welcome, a great welcome to, transformed to members of the church where I no longer felt at home, where I had felt ill at ease, where I felt that I would not be accepted for who I was. I felt almost tangibly a wall between me and them. And when I told Mary Lou about it, we made a decision not to do theater again until we had learned to love those people out there, until that wall disappeared. That decision took us on journeys all over the world. We wanted to see what the world was like. We wanted them to be out there. Those journeys included many weeks in Syria. During that time, we broke bread and became friends with people who looked just like those people in the photographs that are now flooding the media. And our experience with them healed our hearts. And now they are in trouble. As I was in trouble when I visited them. What separates us from them? What kept Emerson from diving into Yosemite? And back to the question, what is the goal of Unitarian Universalism? Our seventh principle, which those of you who are visiting with us today, you can find on your programs, our 7 principles. Our 7th principle affirms and promotes respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. That principle urges us to be a faithful part of that web, but not just be a part, be weavers of that web. By doing so, we are creating beloved community in our community and out into the world in ever-widening circles. Beloved community is our idea of paradise or heaven, not a paradise separated from the world with a wall, but a place of connection in which healing the problems of those who suffer the most heal the problems of the whole. If we can create a world, and many Unitarian Universalists are gathering with this thought, if we can create a world in which Black lives matter and are not at risk of violence, then all lives will matter. We are one. The term beloved community was brought to us by Martin Luther King Jr. As he was beginning his transformative ministry, many Unitarians joined him, and some died. When he began his ministry, many parts of our country were segregated, including Salt Lake City. Did you know that about our city? My grandfather's favorite hotel, which is not a hotel anymore, did not accept people of color. And when white people joined his struggle, there were difficult moments, discomfort. And he saw this coming together of all of these different people, including the white, very educated, for the most part, Unitarians, as the process of creating beloved community. He wrote that desegregation is only a partial, though necessary, step toward the ultimate goal. Desegregation will break down legal barriers and bring men together physically, but something must happen so as to touch the hearts and souls of men, and I think he would add, and women, if he were alive today. That they will come together, not because the law says it, but because it is natural and right. In other words, our ultimate goal is integration, which is genuine intergroup and interpersonal living. And only through nonviolence can this goal be attained, for the aftermath of nonviolence is reconciliation and the creation of beloved community. All that I see on the news screams to me that we have much to do in this area of touching the hearts and souls of people so that they will come together. This is the work of this small and sometimes mighty denomination, Unitarian Universalism. As your minister, I've been gathering with other faith leaders around police training and awareness to figure out how to dispel fear on all sides so that we do not have a tragedy like Michael Brown's shooting in Salt Lake City. But when we gather, we always realize that the reality is we're waiting, that is a real possibility here. And this work that I am doing with clergy and police officers is uncomfortable. I am constantly afraid that I'm going to say the wrong thing, and I'm trying to see that that fear of saying the wrong thing is a sign I'm in the right place, that I'm on that edge, that I'm climbing that mountain with Muir. In our first months in Japan, I was shocked by the way that international disasters were reported. In a disaster affecting hundreds, thousands of people even, the important number was how many Japanese were affected. Oh, there were 6 Japanese out of 800, and they were the ones that were felt so deeply. Then, as often happens, I noticed this is done all over the world. 2 Americans dead is treated differently than 85 Syrians dead. And then what about the number of people displaced? About the state of the town or village, the surrounding fields, once able to grow enough to feed humans and animals of the village and now are ruined. I believe that our inability to imagine this is why we wage war so easily. Making a practice of valuing these lives, bringing those worlds close to us, as Mary Lou and I were able to do through the privilege of travel, investigating them, reading books, learning about anyone you feel fear about, is a move towards beloved community with the world. Study about these places that are far away, about Islam. Visit mosques here in Salt Lake City. Use the brilliance of your minds to shine light on the beauty and depth of other cultures. Learn to value them as your own. Ride public transportation. Riding public transportation has been one of my most transformative ways. Sitting on a bus, squeezed together 3 to a seat, with people who believed very differently than I believe, that dressed very differently from me, made me feel at home in the world. And that opportunity is open to you, not 3 to a seat, but it's open to you here in Salt Lake City. As I am writing this, I am in the Salt Lake Public Library, and a woman on the other side of a stack of books is homeless and telling about how cold it is getting and how hard it is to sleep outside with a temperature down to 43 degrees. And this is just the beginning. Her life is as important as our lives. How do we live this out? Black Lives Matter is screaming for us to create a society in which Eric Garner's life is as valuable to us as the life of our own brother, a brother we like. He is our brother. And you will have a chance to engage in this work because Lucy Malin and a group around her is bringing someone from Black Lives Matter to Salt Lake City in February. Many Unitarian Universalist congregations have taken up this challenge, and each in a unique way, out of that mix of gifts of the individual. UUs have been in the front lines at Ferguson, and they have created a center for immigrants in New York. And they are working for fair treatment of detainees in Arizona, and so on. What is our work? What is the work of this community? People have come to me advocating about the incarcerated, about climate change, which is also affecting the poorest of the poor and the life that cannot protect themselves. And I hear voices wanting us to engage in Black Lives Matter. What do we want to do as a community? Some of us work with the Homeless Youth Resource Center and a hospice for the homeless, the food bank, services for the homeless, and all the work around climate change. And I am constantly moved by the way that you are reaching out. And I wonder, is there a big way we want to reach out together? Is there a work of beloved community, which is the goal of Unitarian Universalism, that would take most of our hearts? It will never take all of our hearts, but if it could take most of our hearts. If you think of something, write that on your program and hand it in at the Happenings Hub that's just around the corner or directly to me. A week from tomorrow, I will fly to Arizona to be a witness on the border with Mexico. This trip came out of an email by Paul Barron, who wondered if I couldn't represent our community on the border. I will walk along the wall, talk with people who have been sent back, and the people who are detained and separated from their families. We will visit the places deep in the desert, walk to them, where migrants have died. Do you know, when we were living there, that the number of migrants who died in 1 year was equivalent to a plane crash of a huge jet plane? And shrines to those who have died are all over that desert. Everywhere I go with this small group of clergy, we will open our eyes, ears, and hearts, and we will pray. I will also breathe in that desert air and see the way the light dances on that landscape. I will try to be awake to all that week has to offer. When I return, I will be a witness of the people I met and what I saw. And in doing so, I hope to bring you closer to the refugees. I hope to build connection with that web of life. I hope that it will inspire us to become weavers of that web. And now, I have to tell you something. When we lived there in our comfortable home in the middle of the desert, I was a little like Emerson. I don't do well in the heat. I didn't walk out into the desert as I will next week. I'd heard too many stories of drug runners and murderers, perhaps as Emerson had heard stories of deaths on the mountain. The plight of the migrants inspired me to do something that I can do. I wrote a play, and the performances have fulfilled over $100,000 of microloans to people in Mexico and Central America, and now it is time for me to walk in the desert. And I wonder how that walk will change my life, and perhaps change your lives. I hope that it will bring us closer to that goal of beloved community and strengthen our connections with a world that is beyond our view. Living here in Salt Lake City has often brought me back to that moment I spoke of in the theater of brokenness, when I imagined then a room filled with people from my ancestral faith. Now they're actually out there instead of imagining. And last week, when I prepared to go on the stage of the opening ceremony of the Parliament of World Religions, I prayed to open myself to connection rather than fear of the thousands of people gathering out there in that massive hall. I also prayed that I would enjoy myself. I know Lou at this point is saying, there hasn't been enough laughter. But joy is an important part of this work. And as I stood backstage, I could see that sitting on the stage was a general authority of the LDS Church and Governor Herbert and other religious leaders, Muslims, Jews, Christians, Hindus, and out beyond them an audience of people of around 50 different faiths. I felt strongly in that moment that I was doing the work I came to this earth to do. It's a feeling I have also when I stand before you. And I ask you, what is the work you are drawn to do? Why are you on this earth at this moment? Children dying on the beach, crowds of refugees behind barbed wire. The time came and the backstage manager pointed to me. I went on stage, and together we're going to sing that song as our closing song. You are there too. You are behind the stage with me. It is your time. So I ask you, what is your role in this community, in this valley, in this world towards the establishment of beloved community? What is the thing only you can do? May you find it and share it with us. May it be so. Amen. I now invite you to open, as I heard many of you do. Early, that's fine. And we shall sing, Earth is Calling. Please stand in body or spirit. And may we find what we can do together to weave the web of beloved community. May it be so. Amen.